You have a choice to make. You can create the future business, the future wealth, the future of serving people that you absolutely want, or you can live the same day over and over again, like the movie Groundhog Day. And at the end of a quarter or a year, you get to decide whether your business and your life look exactly the same as they do today, or if something has changed. If you are stuck in this Groundhog Day cycle, then this is the training for you. It is time to break that cycle with 4 simple questions. Hello, hello, hello. You are listening to your weekly private training for those who get it, the ones who aren't afraid of success, money, or growth. I am your hostess with the mostest, Jennifer Bleam, and welcome to podcast number 11, Groundhog Day. Now, we've all heard that there are so many people that just get into a rut and they live the same day or the same week over and over and over again. And while time passes and pretty quickly we are 40, 50, 60 years old, we haven't actually lived 40 or 50 or 60 years. We've actually lived the same year over and over and over again, 40, 50, or 60 times. What I want to tell you today is that you have a choice, because at the end of a quarter or a year, your business and your life could look exactly the same as it does today, or it can look dramatically different. And the choice is up to you, because the time is absolutely going to pass. But you get to choose how you spend that time. And you need to spend your days in the best possible way. So I want to give you 4 simple questions for you to be able to break this Groundhog Day cycle. Now, some of you are listening to this right around the record date, which is around, I think it's going to drop around December 21st. So it's end of year. It's very easy to fall into the habit of setting brand new 2021 goals or brand new goals for the quarter. And there's nothing wrong with that. I recognize that January is an artificial time to set goals. But if that's what gets you thinking about the future that you desire, then that's fantastic. Take advantage of that artificial construct of a year and decide on what those changes are. But don't fall into the trap of getting to mid-February at the latest and maybe nothing has changed. Maybe you can't even remember what those New Year's resolutions were that you made a short 6 weeks ago. So I want to give you 4 questions that you can ask. And 1 or 2 of these are questions that you should ask every single week. The other 2 are ones that you can ask quarterly or perhaps at the end of the year like it is now, to help you chart your course for the year ahead. So question number 1 is probably the easiest question. What needs to change inside of my business? What needs to change in my business? Are you a business that has a lot of things documented super, super well, but you're not growing? So you're the best organized, teeny tiny little business and you're longing for growth. That's a great goal. That's a great thing to desire. Or maybe you've been growing so quickly that the organization is just something that you haven't gotten to, but you know it's holding you back. You know that if you figured out how to sell and market and lead gen, and you were adding 1 new client every single month to your IT company, that it would get to be mass chaos and you could not even control the fallout that would happen because things are just super disorganized. So those are just 2 examples, but that's question number 1. What needs to change in your business? Okay. Number 2, how can I make that change happen? And the corollary there is, who do I know that has already done this? This could be someone in the vendor community, someone in your local geography. It could be someone in the IT channel. But how do I make that change happen? If I'm not great at documentation, what's the easiest, fastest way for me to make that happen? Who has done it before me? So I now know what needs to change. I now know how do I make that change happen. If I'm stuck on how to make it happen, then I'm going to expand question number 2 to, who do I know that knows how to make this change? So that's question number 2. How do I make that change, or who do I know that can help me figure out how to make that change? The third one, it's an easy question to write down. So if you're taking notes, definitely write this question down, but I will tell you it's one of the hardest to answer. And that question is, what is the biggest thing I can do this week to move my business forward in a massive way? What is the biggest thing I can do this week to move my business forward in a massive way? Because the reality is that massive change is uncomfortable. And we don't like being uncomfortable. I've talked before about being nice and cozy, warm underneath the down comforter, and that is comfortable. That's the status quo. But status quo will leave you stuck. Status quo will leave you with a very boring business and boring life that is not growing, not expanding, not thinking critically. And status quo and comfortable starts to feel very quickly like quicksand. But that's only after we've been in that stuck state for a while. So when we are making our plans for the week or our plans for the month, it's very easy to fill our to-do list with all of these tasks that we're really good at and that we're comfortable with. But by asking yourself this question every single week, what is the biggest thing? The biggest thing, there's only ever one biggest thing. What is the biggest thing I can do this week to move my business forward in a massive way? And then ask yourself that question and take action on it. Because again, if you are simply filling your task list with to-do items, you've been in business long enough to know there will never be a shortage of items that have to get done. And so by forcing yourself to chunk away at this massive thing that you have to get done this week, and then hold yourself accountable for getting it done, super, super powerful. So I remember when I was first starting my business, one of the massive things that I wanted to do was do some training for some of the larger vendors inside of the space. And that's uncomfortable because even though I'm a name and a face that many people in the channel know, it was awkward to say, hey, I think I've got some great sales skills. I've got some great information on selling cybersecurity. Could I do this for your list? I'm not asking for anything in return. It's uncomfortable for me, or at least it was at the time. That was my biggest thing one week. It was find 2 vendors that will let you present an educational thought leadership webinar to their group. And I got it done. And it was huge because what I found is that when I wrote it down on paper, it felt massive and uncomfortable. But presenting learnings and presenting webinars is very much inside of my skill set. I'm very comfortable doing the actual webinar. It was simply making the ask that was uncomfortable. So in my mind, I made it a much bigger, much more massive monster under the bed than it actually was in reality. So ask yourself that question. If you plan for your week, if you do a Sunday planning session or you do a Monday kickoff, what's the biggest thing you can do this week to move your business forward in a massive way? And number 4, I want to talk about for a couple of minutes. Number 4, who do I need to become? So we've talked about your business, what needs to change in your business and how do you make that change happen? We've talked about things that might make you feel uncomfortable, that task or that job that you have to get done that is going to cause massive change. But who do you need to become? Epictetus was a philosopher who wrote the book, The Art of Living. And he asks the question, who exactly do you want to be? And you know, every time you get to a decision in your life or a decision in your business, every decision should have a metric, a binary question, a binary answer to a question. Is this helping me become the person I want to become? And if you're getting ready to do something that doesn't help you become that person, then the answer should be a hard no. And so that needs to become the decision-making metric for you is number 1, you need to know who do you want to become? Who do you need to become? If you are desiring to grow your business to a new income level, a new revenue level, a new larger team perhaps, or to go into a different line of business. It could be that you've been focused on IT for 10 years or 20 years, and now you're expanding into the cybersecurity space. Fantastic, great opportunity. Who do you need to become in order to wrap your head around the cybersecurity opportunity, how to sell it, how to articulate it to the small business owners? Who do you need to become? And so for many of you, you are thinking things like, I want to become a business owner who sees opportunity everywhere. Or I want to be the kind of leader who inspires my team. Or I want to be a sales genius. I want to be a sales rock star. Or I want to make decisions easily and quickly. And so once you know who it is that you want to become, then you can hold up that ideal and say, if I make this decision, who am I becoming? And am I getting closer to that person, further away from that person, or is it perhaps neutral? So that becomes a very easy way for you to make decisions. Hold it up to the ideal you that you want to become. Now, I talk about your network and your relationships a lot. And so let's say that you have said, you know what, I really want to be a leader that inspires my team. Well, then I would ask you, who do you know that does that very thing? And study them. Find out maybe some insights that they may have to offer. What podcasts or books or other resources did they lean on when they were first learning that skill? Because most people don't come out of their mother's womb being inspiring leaders. They became that. So you can ask them for their tricks, their methodology, what's their mindset? How do they live every day in such a way that they do indeed inspire their team? Ask them for their tactics, their insights, their challenges when they were first becoming that type of leader. And so make that as much of a New Year's resolution as, hey, I want to add monthly recurring revenue to my business, or I want to increase profitability, or I want to get into cybersecurity. All very valid goals, all very valid things to attain, but don't lose track of you becoming who you want to be. Because at first, as your business is growing, you can say yes to almost everything. In fact, there are some thought leaders that say when you are starting your business, just say yes to everything. You want me to do a podcast? Sure. You want me to speak in front of a stage, on a stage in front of a crowd? Sure. You want me to help teach your children coding? Sure. And so you say yes to a lot. They even say to say yes to everything. But as your business starts to grow, you will have to say no to more things, because 100% yes to every opportunity that comes to you will not scale. And so this decision that is in front of you, does it align with who you want to be? Or is it simply something that you can do? Is it a box that you can check? If it's just something you can do, then you'll end up doing it half-heartedly. And to go all the way back to the beginning of this training, where we talked about time and how the time you spend on your business and the time you spend improving yourself, time is going to go by either way. Whether you are living purposefully or not, time is ticking. Time doesn't stop. Time waits for no man or woman. Okay. And so make sure that as you are making these decisions on how to spend your time, not only that it aligns with your business goals, but with who you want to become as a man, a woman, a husband, a wife, a business owner. Make sure that who you are becoming is who you want to become. Because in the words of Jim Rohn, for your life to get better, you must get better. I love Jim Rohn. He's got so many great business building and personal development truths, and this is one of them. For your life to get better, you must get better. So let me recap these 4 questions so that you can get out of the Groundhog Day cycle and you can start to soar. Number 1, what needs to change in my business? Number 2, how can I make that change happen? And if you don't know, then who do I know that could help me change that in my business or has already made that change in their business? Number 3, what is the biggest thing I can do this week to move my business forward in a massive way? And it will almost always be uncomfortable. And number 4, who do I need to become? Definitely some deep thoughts on this partial week as we are coming up on the Christmas holiday. For those of us who are celebrating Christmas, we probably have a bit of a long weekend ahead. So some heavy thoughts and some deep thoughts. I'd encourage you to spend a little bit of time thinking about those questions, and especially number 4, who do you need to become? That's it for now. I'll chat with you next week.